And Leader, before we get to the details of the budget and other things we want to discuss this morning, I want to give you a chance to react to the events in Manchester from yesterday.
Well, my thoughts and prayers go out to all those in Manchester. This was a cowardice attack on children as well. But this continues to show that the world is not a safe place, but we stand with England just as we've done in the past, and we'll be able to work through this and help them.
And I know the president has offered his ongoing support, the support of the U.S. to British authorities as they try to weed through this terrible tragedy. Also today, we are getting the president's budget. I know it's just a framework, and then lawmakers take it from there. There's been a lot of criticism, though, of drastic cuts to Medicaid and other social programs. I want to read to you a little bit of what we're getting from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. They say, while we appreciate the administration's focus on reducing the debt, when using more realistic assumptions, the president's budget does not add up. Relying on heroic assumptions and vague promises instead of confronting tough policy choices will not fix our country's fiscal woes. What do House lawmakers do with the proposal?
Well, you exactly said it is a framework, but look at what this framework has done, much different than the budgets we had from the past president. This budget actually balances. This budget puts a priority when it comes to the military, where the military was cut for a number of years, and we look at what has transpired around the world. It also does welfare reform, helping people get back to work in the workplace. It also talks about tax reform, pro-growth, where it brings the growth rate back up into America. So that is a very good framework to start from, to be able to build on as we work through the budget process here in Congress.
All right, let's talk about some of these specific cuts. $800 billion in cuts over 10 years to Medicaid, $193 billion in reduction in food stamps. Also, the budget director, OMB director, Mick Mulvaney, your former colleague there in the House, has said that there should be a work requirement for anyone who's able-bodied and on food stamps. We've heard a lot from the left that this is a heartless budget, that it is benefiting the rich, giving them tax breaks at the expense of the most needy and poor in our country. How do you respond to that criticism?
Remember what transpired back after 1994, where Republicans took the majority and tried to be able to move welfare reform. They had to move it 3 times, be vetoed twice by President Clinton until it was finally signed. They had all the same talking points that they do today. And what happened? More people went to work. More people, while working, were able to buy homes and send their kids to college. This enhances the economy of America and puts more people into the workforce.
And a lot of it, though, hinges on tax reform getting done. It's a heavy lift. We know you're working around the clock there in the House on that potential rollout. So where are we on that, and what's your time frame? Do you have one for getting something done?
Well, this is exactly on the same time frame we had from the very beginning, to do regulatory reform, which we were able to achieve, more than 14 congressional review acts signed into law, the most ever. We were able to then do health care reform in the House, that is now moving to the Senate, and now we've started on tax reform. We'll have another hearing today inside Ways and Means. This is about being fair and making it simple in the process, lowering the corporate rate, taking the 7 individual rates, lowering them to 3, and changing the direction of where this tax code actually works. That the current tax code pushes you to put your company in another country to have a tax advantage. If you are successful, it forces you to keep money overseas. We have more than $2 trillion sitting overseas that could come back into invest into America. And the current rate we currently have, it gives you an advantage if you want to import instead of export what you make in America. So we're transforming all that. We've put it out to the American public. We're walking through the hearings today, and we'll get tax reform done this year.
Well, you mentioned import-export, and obviously this so-called border adjustment tax. There seem to be some critics on both sides of the aisle for that concept. Has the GOP coalesced around a strategy on that specific point? Are you negotiating with members? How does it work?
Well, how it works is we're doing a hearing just on that today, bringing experts in that are for and against it, walking it through committee, asking the questions, making sure that it would work properly, that it would enhance and build more jobs into America, that it would actually reward you to bring manufacturing jobs back to America to be able to send overseas, instead of rewarding those businesses that are made in other countries, get a rebate leaving their country and come into our country and compete against does, on a different level playing field. We want to have a level playing field out there, so that's why we're having the hearing today to walk through the border adjustment tax.
All right, we're just about out of time, so I want to ask you quickly. Back in 1986, the last major substantive overhaul of the tax code, there was bipartisan support. It was a bipartisan package. Will you get any Democrat votes, do you think, on what you are working up so far?
I would hope that the Democrats would want to have a pro-growth tax code. I would hope that they wouldn't want to have the highest corporate rate in the world. I would hope that they would actually want to join with us. That's why in the hearing today, it is a bipartisan hearing. Anybody can ask a question on either side of the aisle, and we're looking forward to hearing their ideas as well as we move tax reform forward.
All right, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, thank you, sir, for your time. Good to see you.
Thank you.